So next topic is the new rules of YouTube.
Well, yeah, and also
I don't know if you've seen this,
and how we're also gonna have to figure out how to navigate that because
the thing is that I think with us, we've got a pretty like squeaky clean image on like the Wheels2Walking side of things, like the main channel. Mm-hmm. But this new podcast side, like we're swearing a little bit.
I mean, we intentionally put this on a separate channel because we didn't want it to accidentally mess up our main channel and get like a mature rating. I mean, I've already said fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I've already said fuck too. Fuck. Fuck, I said fuck.
That's the fourth fuck strike. You struck out.
I didn't know there was a fuck strike.
I think there's a strike. I think it's in the first 10 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah, so if we kind of like intentionally don't curse for the first like 10 minutes or something. I thought it was like the first 2.
Whatever.
I don't fucking know. Now we're just going overboard.
That was so
okay. So I'm reading this article from Vox. It says 6 months after a major public controversy, YouTube is changing its anti-harassment policies.
Well, that was first the COPPA.
Well, that's to do with kids.
Exactly, but what was it was because pedophiles were leaving timestamps in the comments.
Well, this is not what we're talking about. This is anti-harassment. So this is mainly the topic is David Crowder and that one gay dude from Vox.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't be reading the article from Vox because the gay dude was from Vox. But either way, here we go. YouTube announced on Wednesday, which is today, that it's making long-awaited changes to its harassment policy, saying it will tighten rules around what's considered a threat and toughen punishments for repeat offenders. For years, the platform has faced intense scrutiny from critics, including its own employees, who say it's allowed hate speech and harassment to flourish, particularly with comments that target racial minorities, women, LGBTQ individuals, and other historically marginalized groups. Wow, ties right into our topic. Controversies around YouTube policies hit a high point in June after Vox Media journalist Carlos Maza called public attention to the repeated harassment he was receiving from conservative YouTuber commentator Steven Crowder. And over the course of 2 years, Crowder routinely used racial and homophobic slurs in his widely watched videos, attempting to debunk Maza's work. So basically,
Steven Crowder is the prove me wrong meme guy.
Yeah, it's he sits on college campuses and says blah 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 blah, change my mind.
Well, what's really interesting about that, I'm just gonna throw my 2 cents on top of that. He is a seasoned debater talking to like freshmen and sophomore.
Yeah, those videos are kind of weak, like, but they're funny.
Yeah, they're funny, but it's weak sauce, dude. It's so like
he's going to a college campus where it's like, okay,
fish in a barrel. Like, yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, and the thing is basically the controversy around that was, is it a joke? Is it hate speech if it's a joke? Is it, like there was a lot of controversial things. And the problem is now that they've updated these new terms of service where they're cracking down on quote unquote hate speech or bullying or whatever, videos from the past are being taken down. And this kind of goes back to this is the debate that I kind of really want to talk about is it fair for YouTube to retroactively delete videos that were within terms of service at one point, but now they're not? For example, to bring this into the real world, is it fair to keep people in jail that are like in jail for marijuana charges when marijuana is now legal in the state? Should we like free those people, or should we like keep them in jail? Because like, oh, well, they were breaking the law and they knew they were breaking the law at the time, but it's like, yeah, but now we've agreed that this law is stupid. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's this weird debate where on YouTube, I feel like almost at some point, I think if you're in terms of service when your video is launched, it's not really fair to like take it down after the fact. If you just, we changed our rules, can't have this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like we can talk about the marijuana thing again. There was a lot of like YouTube channels pre-adpocalypse that were like cannabis lifestyle channels. They were all about growing and smoking and reviews of dispensaries and how to get your medical card and like all this stuff that they were legal within their state. And then adpocalypse came along, and then all of a sudden like drug use is demonetized, and it's like, but then what if what happens when it becomes federal? When it's federally legal, do you remonetize those videos?
Well, the other question is,
like what then?
YouTube is the second most trafficked site in the entire world. This has nothing to do with fucking America.
But let's be honest, they are an American company that mostly police American content creators.
This is true. But that's also part of the problem.
It's like Instagram. Like if you find, you've told me, but
some Russian
if you find like Russian accounts or like Arab accounts,
you can find straight up porn,
and they don't care.
Yeah,
because it's
Russian, and it's not going to make headlines in America where they're based. So who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's wild. But I think
do you think that they should be able to take them down? Because the argument is they're still serving those videos, so they're still on their platform. But
I am tired of YouTube acting like a parent. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just tired of YouTube daddy. I'm tired of them putting up invisible electric fences and
paternalism
and letting us run into those things, and then we get shocked, and then we have to go run around and be like, hey, everybody, don't run over to that corner right there, and don't get shocked. Don't.
Yeah.
It's very much like. Ugh, I don't know, man. I just, it's same thing with like fucking Twitter and Facebook, and private companies are allowed to do whatever they want to do. That's fine. That's their prerogative. And what they want to do is they bow to the dollar, period. The end of story. Advertisers are always at the forefront of this, and the advertisers, whether they're on or off the platform, is what's making the rules. But I'm just tired of it. I worry about, like, let's say, for example, like in the future, you're not allowed to show like disabled people getting injured. And then all of a sudden my WCMX video gets yanked because I crash on my wheelchair. I mean, we experienced that on TikTok, where you uploaded a video on TikTok.
There was the same video as you crashing on your wheelchair in the WCMX video.
Didn't you get a strike that was like, hey, this is bullying and harassment? And you were like, no, this is me.
Yeah, it literally said this video has not been TikTok is pretty strict on that stuff, actually.
I saw someone doing a cliff jump, and at the very bottom there was a disclaimer that was like, actions in this video can cause serious and permanent damage or something like that.
Yeah, they do that. Which honestly, I think they're on top of their game preemptively on a lot of this stuff, because they're seeing what's going down on a lot of these other platforms, and they're just trying to be proactive. And it's like, I get it. It's like, we can choose from the get. The thing that's frustrating about YouTube is it used to be the Wild Wild West, and so a lot of these creators that have flourished for so long are now like getting demonetized or getting their stuff taken down. And it's like, yo, what the fuck? This is my job, dude.
Well, we just watched the podcast with Nerd City and Wang. And
did you watch it?
Yeah, and with No Jumper, and they were talking all about like the insanity that like some of their stuff gets monetized, but some of their stuff, like Wang has a video called Cumbox. And the way he got around it is he spelled cumbox as one word and not two words.
Not C-U-M space box. It was like cumbox.
Yeah, and he's like,
was it cumbox or cumjar?
It was a Reddit cumbox. Yeah. And then it was...
It's so funny.
I know, crazy.
It's one of his most popular videos.
And he said for 3 or 4 days he was green, and then it went yellow, and then he appealed it and it went green again. Like someone reviewed it and was like, oh, this is fine.
Well, that's the hard thing about Adam22 as well. He's talked about it on that episode with No Jumper. Like, he'll upload stuff as unlisted and like basically try to like see if it'll like get flagged or not. And then as soon as it goes public, it gets flagged anyways. So sometimes he'll literally do stuff on purpose just to get it flagged on purpose. So then he can appeal it immediately rather than like waiting until like maybe it'll get unlisted, maybe it won't, maybe it'll get demonetized, maybe it won't. He's like, no, I'm gonna like say fuck right at the beginning just so I can like appeal it and like force the system rather than like waiting on YouTube's weird wacky system that may or may not pick up on whether it gets demonetized or not.
I think about like kids channels, right? Like due to the actions of people that were not like, it was just some creepy pedophiles in the comments. Like it's not the channel's job to like
police their comments,
police the comments. And then, so what does YouTube do? They freak out. They remove all comments on all kids' videos and remove all monetization on all videos because the FCC came in and fined everybody. So if you're a kids channel, even a really successful kids channel, you screwed.
Well, those are kind of like two separate controversies that happen to like coincide too.
But it hit only kids.
It hit only kids content because, and that's the funniest part is for the past few years after the initial adpocalypse, if you guys don't know, is basically this period of time where a lot of advertisers pulled out of YouTube because their ads were being shown on videos that were depicting things that they didn't like or didn't approve of necessarily.
It's like when Coca-Cola got on top of a Nazi video.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, YouTube, what the heck? Why are you showing our ads on top of Nazi propaganda?
Procter and Gamble got an ad on like an ISIS video. Like there was a whole bunch of
something. You got to be searching that kind of weird stuff to even know that that's happening. But at the end of the day, a lot of advertisers pulled out, and so again, YouTube bowing to the mighty dollar, which you can't fault them for, honestly. They're a business. But the problem is like these with this new controversy with the kids stuff, it's like there's this pedophilia problem. I get it. You know, maybe banning the comments for a little bit for a period of time is like a temporary solution. Hopefully that gets lifted soon. But now with this COPPA thing, it's like it was because YouTube was storing data on children so that they could advertise to them more effectively, which is what they just do.
I mean, but that was one of those, like, they knew they were breaking the law type of things.
I think they knew they were breaking the law type of thing, but it's like these kids are on the platform. They make a separate app called YouTube Kids for a reason. Like, kids shouldn't be on the platform. Again, it like kind of boils down to like, yeah, they're tracking them, but like,
they weren't.
I don't know.
They were not tracking YouTube Kids accounts that were specifically watched by kids through the YouTube Kids videos. They were tracking kids that were using adult accounts. So there was no way for them to know that they were kids because the account was set up as if they were not kids.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure the metadata could tell them like, oh, this is a kid. Like, even though the account says that he's 25, this is obviously
a kid, yeah.
Which I understand that, but at the end of the day, I think that whole system is weird too. I think,
but it all goes down.
If you're tracking data on everyone, you should be able to track data on everyone. But I don't think if you're a kid or not, like, who cares?
But the adpocalypse, the COPPA, the bullying thing, kind of to me goes down to what we were kind of talking about in a previous episode, which is like we can learn from other people's mistakes. Is diversify your income streams.
100%.
Get emails. Have your own products. Work with brands and sponsors that you align with. You know, find a way to thrive in a space so you don't rely. You know, my Facebook following belongs to Mark Zuckerberg. My Instagram following belongs to Mark Zuckerberg. YouTube subscribers belong to YouTube and Google. My email list belongs to me. So I also think about like merchandise that belongs to us, you know, whether, you know, not like ads that are on the platform, not like even working with sponsors. Like, I'm still really hesitant, especially to like work with sponsors, because there's a part of me that's like, creative autonomy is very important to me. And I don't want some sponsor to get their panties in a bundle about something I said, like here on this podcast, for example, even though the Wheels2Walking channel is squeaky clean, something I say here, because I don't want there to be like someone holding my money hostage. Be like, well, I'm not going to pay you because you said this. And it's like, dude, we gave you a 1.5 minute shout out on a video. You have to pay us. We already did what we said. Well, no, we just don't agree with, you know, we don't agree with that. And it's like, what's going on here?
I think at the end of the day, it just boils down to us being crystal clear on what we're offering. It's like, we're not offering a brand, you know,
ambassadorship.
We're not being brand ambassadors. We're literally giving you ad space within our video to read an ad. That's it. Like, you get the listeners.
Unless there's like a proper collaboration, but even still, it's like, dude, you're not like, well, I think you're not controlling this content.
Now that we've got this podcast out there and, you know, people are going to be able to listen, I think, honestly, the podcast for everyone out there, it's kind of like our mainstream play. It's not necessarily just geared towards wheelchair users, even though we talk about wheelchair stuff a lot.
The sponsors here are not going to be the same sponsors as we would find on the YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Very different.
And that's what I think is going to be exciting, because obviously Call Her Daddy has sponsors. Impulsive has sponsors. Joe Rogan has sponsors. Chris D'Elia has sponsors. There's plenty of companies that don't mind working with podcasts that are not afraid to speak their mind and be a little bit raunchy or whatever. Because, I mean, I think about Call Her Daddy. I think their podcast is hilarious. I've been listening to it for a little while now, but they talk about some stuff on there that's like, dude, if I was a brand, like, I'd be a little bit worried too. But there's some really cool brands on there that like don't care, and they realize that the people that are into raunchy humor are just normal people, dude. Like, people that are people that are watching H3, they got money too. They're buying, whatever. They're buying all kinds of stuff. And I think really, I think that's why podcasts are so attractive to people. It's because it's a lot of times that like unfiltered look in a world of so much like, you watch the news, everyone's talking in a fake voice like, all right, so back to you, Jonathan.
I mean, a prime example is Logan Paul vlogs. Refuse to watch him. Really obnoxious. Logan Paul on his podcast, different person. because
Totally.
he's not
playing up a character. He's being himself.
Yeah, he's just
because it's
being
really hard to
Logan.
play up a character for an hour-long conversation. It's very hard to be a character unless it's like a fiction podcast or something. And I think in a podcast like this, it's very hard to not be yourself after a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely a situation where like authenticity will prevail. You know, I'm not worried
100%.
about it in any way, shape, or form because the people that get it, and the people that don't, we don't have to convince.
True.
And if they do change their mind later down the road, then like okay, they can talk to us.
Do you think
about
that
it.
these new bullying rules are going to affect us in any way?
I mean, how?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they would. Which is, do you think?
I mean, you're helping people.
Yeah. I mean, I think, but the thing is who's to say what's like hate speech or whatever? Because like maybe in some of our videos, like you said, there's been like certain things you've said like against other people or whatever.
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, it's the idea of like,
who's to say like if someone flags it and is like, this is hate speech towards me, and is YouTube going to be like, no, it's not? Or are they going to be like, oh, well, if he says it's hate speech toward him, I guess it is.
well, I mean, that kind of goes back to the ableism thing, sorta, where it's like there for sure are other wheelchair users that have probably reported my videos, but it's like, you know why? Because no one in your life has called you out. I can call you out. I can call you out because I've been in your shoes, and I'm also a wheelchair user. You're not immune to criticism. I'm about to criticize you hard. I'm not going to criticize you directly, but I will criticize you. And, you know, the lack of criticism, I think, was a potential big part of how I even fell down into a rabbit hole of addiction. Was like no one questioned or criticized me for being high 24/7 because the doctors gave it to him. You know, oh, he needs it. Oh, it's normal to not shower for 3 to 5 days, and it's normal to be a little bit stinky, and you know, it's normal to like isolate and like, you know, get fired from your job for not showing up. And I'm like, no one ever called me out. No one criticized me because they felt like they couldn't. And I think that needs to stop. I think people with disabilities don't all of a sudden get a magic pass to do whatever they want to do. They can still be criticized. But I think it's also in part a responsibility of other people with disabilities to call them out too. It's like, you know, yeah, it sucks that your life happened this way, but that doesn't give you the right to be angry at people, to yell at people, to be rude to people, to act entitled. You don't just automatically get to be a crap human being just because the world isn't fair and it didn't treat you fairly. Like that's inexcusable. But a lot of the times people will just give other people a pass because it's like, oh, they're just going through a lot. It's like, yeah, they are, but that doesn't mean that they're allowed to be an asshole.
Yep. Exactly.
Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want the full episode, you can click right here. If you want to subscribe, click here. If you want more clips, we got 2 more right over here.